We're back. I like this hook. You got a book you want to tell us about? Well, let's talk. There's no other place to do it. Only on Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. All right, welcome to Catch the Craze podcast audio mix. I'm your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man, Vera, and I am with
George, the Dreamer, Medina. What up? What up?
What's up, George? Did you hear that?
Yeah, no, I didn't hear that.
Oh, that sucks.
But that's all right. We're having a whole bunch of stuff going on. What are you eating? What are you munching on over there? I see you munching.
I'm munching on nuts because I'm losing my mind now.
Nice.
So here's the problem. Just want to let you guys know. I upgraded to the new OS on.
Don't choke on them nuts.
On the on choke. And now my OBS is not syncing with Zoom. So now I'm recording this on Zoom. So all of the special, it never ends. It never ends. You know, and I should have tested this before, but I did not. But this is what it is. Let me change this scene. What am I doing? Gallery mode. There you go. Boom. So, Medina, what's going on?
Not much. Welcome, everybody. This is July 17th. It is episode, I don't know the exact number, but we're up there, Sam. We're getting close to 200, buddy.
Yeah, this is in the 90s, the 190s, I think.
All right. Yeah. All right. And today's guest is going to be Mr. Angel Santiago with Amazing Action Comics.
Yes.
That should be fun. Yeah, yes. Nice. I was looking at their website.
He wanted me to mention that they're currently, in fact, I got it right here. So they're looking for submissions. So they're a publisher, they're an independent publisher. So if you're an independent creator, if you're a dynamic duo or a writer artist team and you guys have a finished product, they are looking for submissions. I'm sure he's going to talk about the details when he gets on the show.
Yeah, I definitely have some questions about that. I actually made a list of questions that I had. Very interesting. I love having independent publishing companies, not just independent artists, but a whole company that, you know, publishes comics, because a lot of guys that are out there have books that they say, okay, how do I get it to a broader audience? And it's nice to have somebody come on to tell us a little bit about that process in today's market, you know? So that's going to be very interesting to talk to him about. And that should be good. But what have you been up to? What's going on with you? I know you're always busy. So what's going on?
Oh man, I don't even have it here. But I got some new art books to my collection. I got the art of, I think it's Joe Mad.
Okay, yeah.
The Dark Side. I think it's the Dark Side, the book. Yeah. So I got volumes 1 and 2, or 1 or 3 and 1 or 2. I got 2 volumes.
Nice.
And the artwork is just off the chain. So I will be doing that on I Create Story segment, or even on the Crazy 10LS, but it's just amazing stuff. So I got that. What else has been going on? Just been networking. I connected with Angel on Instagram, so that's good. And just making things happen.
Yeah, man, cool. Yeah. I actually just got I just got The Devil's in the Details, the Todd McFarlane book.
Nice.
Yeah, I just got I didn't realize how big that book was, bro. I was just looking through it. I haven't really sat down and read it, but that thing is huge. I went to see, because I got the trade paperback on Amazon. I got it for like $30, dude. It was a steal.
Yes.
Steal.
Yes.
I went to see how much the hardcover version of that book is. $150, dude, for the hardcover. Is that what you got?
No, I don't have the hardcover. No.
I was like,
the hardcover for Madureira, because it was in the 30s. I think it was like $33.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I got the same price that you got on Amazon for The Devil's in the Details, because the hardcover was just out of control.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. But that is a very informative book. I definitely recommend anybody.
It's like it's like if you have a weekend off.
Yeah.
And you don't want, and you just want to stay indoors, that's a great book to sit in your yard or sit indoors and just nice big never-ending pot of coffee and just chill and read and take notes.
Yeah. That guy was a beast, dude. Was a beast. And not for nothing, and I was talking to Aníbal about this, his artwork wasn't the greatest at the beginning. Like if you look at his stuff back in the day, it's not like it was like, oh my God, this guy's going to be amazing. You know, he's definitely going to, you know, he's going to have a career in comics. He worked at that stuff.
Yes.
He's Todd McFarlane because he obviously put in the work after over what 400 or 200 whatever it was rejection letters. You know what I mean? Like he just constantly kept just honing his craft and going in and making the changes they told him to make. Yes. You know. So yeah, no, it's a great book, great story. I actually, and speaking of rejection letters and all that kind of stuff, today's topic: feedback versus static. I was thinking about this because I was reading that book and I was thinking, okay,
static, let's go. So, what you know?
what is the difference between feedback and then somebody just tearing your stuff apart? You know what I mean? Because there is such a thing as constructive criticism, which kind of like tells you, okay, do this, work on that. And then there's just the blatant, that's trash, get it out of here. Have you encountered either one of these things? And what would you say is the biggest difference between the two? I mean, I guess one of the differences is obvious.
I think, so this is two-part response to this, because I think one, you set yourself up if you don't know your audience, right? Mm-hmm. So like, and I'll give an example in a second. I think the second part of it is it could be taste, a matter of taste, right? So know your audience. So if you're an independent creator, you don't want to send your stuff to a mainstream critic, right? Who's never looked at an indie book or reviewed an indie book, and it's a big two guy. Yeah. Because you're setting yourself up because you're now being compared to establishments that have been around for decades and have mastered their craft, right? And have tools and resources that you don't have, and have disciplines and processes that you don't have, right? And they're in the bullpen, so you're exposed to a lot of different creatives. So you're gonna send it to somebody who is gonna compare you to that. You set yourself up. The second part of it, it could be a matter of taste. Some people just don't like specific art styles. Mm-hmm. So they won't even give your story a chance, right? Just by looking at your artwork, you know, and we've experienced that in the early days where they just start trashing the art but never read the story because they weren't a fan of the art style. And sometimes you might have a strong story and adequate art, but it's also, I think it's just a matter of taste. And when someone decides to just trash it rather than say, hey, this isn't my arena, I will respectfully pass on critiquing your work, mm-hmm. right? That I can respect. But when it isn't somebody's taste, but they still want to go in and just make an example, that's where it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Obviously, you talked about like in our earlier days, I remember like the reviews for Rust when they first came in, a lot of it was geared towards the artwork, right? Yeah. And it's like you said, it's because there's, different strokes for different folks, right? Some people may say, okay, I like that. Some people may say, I don't like that. You can't let that deter you from finishing what you have to do. And I guess I'm a good example of that. It's like, I could have easily just packed it up, say, yo, Sam, it's done. I'm done with this. I was like, all right, cool. Listen, if the artwork is what needs help, I'm not so prideful that I'm going to be like, nope, I don't give a crap. I'm going to finish this. To me, it's like, all right, cool. You know what? I'll keep working on my artwork, but in the meantime, my story's not going to suffer. So I hired an artist and I said, here, finish this book for me. And currently right now, I bought a bunch of art books and stuff like that. And I want to continue that path of drawing my own stuff because I do enjoy drawing as much as I like
your style. And that's, and again, it's a matter of taste, because I've always told you, because I remember when we received some of those critics, I took it personal too, because, you're my boy. And I was like, but I love Russ. I even love the way you did it. But I think you took it harder than because it's yours, your baby, and I think
I got stabbed.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready to fight. I'm like, nah, you ain't talking about my boy. And,
yeah.
And then you chose to go in and hire somebody, and I was like, but I I get it, because I can tell you every time I sent my stuff to a critic, I cringed, waited to see what was the result.
Sure.
You don't know,
Yeah.
because it's always been a matter of taste.
Yeah.
So you're just not going to win them all. But how do you differentiate?
Right. That's the thing. And just going back to that really quick for that story, we talked about two things, and I have this conversation with a lot of the guys that we work with, and I say, the great artwork will sell you the first issue, but a great story will keep them coming back for the rest. And the thing with Russ was that that critic really didn't like the artwork, but he enjoyed the story. He didn't have anything to say about the story. It was more the artwork that he didn't like. Now, how do you tell the difference? I think it's in the approach, right? If it's and who it's coming from. Okay, let's say for example you're showing your book to a competitor, and he trashes it. Is that really feedback, or is that just static? We about to fight because he's just if I can kill this guy's mojo and make him believe that his stuff is trash, I got one over him, and he's not gonna he's no longer gonna do what he's doing, and I can continue doing what I'm doing. So if you're getting that kind of, if that's where your feedback is coming from, it's not really feedback. That's not constructive criticism. That's just straight up, I'm trying to, win over you. Yes. I think when you want feedback or you want some kind of somebody to give you constructive criticism, you got to take it to maybe perhaps if you're an artist, an art teacher that you at some point took art classes from. Say, hey, what do you think of this? Because to me, that's where the constructive criticism is going to go. Now, the other side of that coin, and in being in the industry and stuff like that, I've met different characters and different people. And a gentleman that I met made a pretty good point. Listen to this one. He basically said that the reason why some of our independent work, the independent artist work, isn't up to the level of, say, one of the big twos, or maybe even Dark Horse or Image or whatever, is because we tend to just get pats in the back for trying. Hey, good job, man. It's out there. Rather than people telling us, hey, look, listen, man, that story doesn't really make sense. Your dialogue is off. Your premise doesn't work. The plot, you had a lot of plot holes. We don't get that criticism. We either get, hey, man, excellent job, or that's trash. So we have to be able to, again, differentiate and find that common ground so that we can get better as creators. You know what I mean? So that's something to think about as well.
Right. I mean, I remember Cosmic Wars, the fact that I use beveling and bows a lot, right? I got a lot of critique for that. A lot of negative response to it. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a cheap shot of drawing, of coloring.
You see it in the background. You see the background? Your background. Look at that.
Yeah, you can see it, right? So I use a lot of that, right? But I got a lot of feedback from that, and so I learned from that. And I said, all right, now how do I get a similar effect without having to use that filter? But I think the biggest thing from it is, in everything, there's some truth, right? You have to determine, have you heard that before? Right.
How many times have you heard it? Right.
Yes. Yeah. So that's where you got to seek the truth. If someone said, "Well, your style lacks perspective," okay. How many times have I heard that before? What do I need to do to fix that?
Yeah.
You're using too many filters in your coloring. Stop that crap. You're not a real colorist. Okay. What do I need to do to fix that? So if I've heard it 1, 2, 3 times, all right, there's some truth to it. And if I'm not acknowledging it, then I'm just being a knucklehead and stubborn. You mentioned about, the art books. I mean, I get a lot of the art books. I just invested in just to hone my craft. In the the Kubert schools having a sale on the entire curriculum. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different books on perspective, on shading, on whatever, with the DVDs, right?
Oh wow!
Yes. So what am I?
How much was that bundle?
Huh?
How much was that? Was that expensive?
$130.
Wow, that's not bad, dude.
They're having a sale. Yeah, he said right now the Kubert school's having a sale because everything's shut down. So I'm like, take advantage while it's hot. So I was like, all right, you know what? I really want to hone my craft. Because I haven't drawn consecutively for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I started drawing again, and I find that I spend more time I'm not as fluid as I used to be. So,
Yeah.
and there's some things that I lost along the way. So let me go back and retrain myself.
Yeah.
So I said, what better way than from the master, and then see what their curriculum's all about. And they sent me 6 DVDs and six books.
Nice, dude. And we have to be realistic too as artists, and we can't take stuff personally. Like to me, you have to have tough skin, man. If you don't have tough skin in any industry, and especially in this industry where you feel like you're being attacked, you're not gonna make it. Right. And a lot of that is that. And to me, you also have to be realistic with your skill level. Like, know what you have to work on. Don't be so blind to say, I am the greatest at this. If perspective is your weakness, dude, work on perspective. If anatomy is your weakness, work on anatomy, And even like, for example, let's say, for example, storytelling is your strong point. You still can work on that. You still can even get better at that. So never think that you're there. Yeah, right. You always continue to, like you just did right now, dude, that's a great deal. And that's going to help you immensely. Because not only do you have the books, you have the visuals. Yes. You know what I mean? So that helps even more.
Yes. And that was for me. It's like, all right, what do I need to do to really get back into a groove and really hone some things that I'm weak at, right? Because there's some things that I'm really weak at. Like, lighting has not been my strong point. I relied on colors, coloring to be able to fill those gaps. And for me, inking is not my strong point, right? So when I ink, I'm really just tracing. I'm not adding any depth or anything like that. So I'm being honest with myself, which is why I stick to the simplistic style of art, because I'm not gonna go into the fantasy style of art where a lot of the cross hatching and all this other stuff. But I'd like to at least tighten up that area or deal with the area that makes me uncomfortable, right? Because it's not my strong point.
Right.
And that's just me being honest. And I think, education only stops when you believe you don't need it.
Yeah.
And if you believe you don't need it, then your growth has stopped.
Right. No, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And again, just whenever you're receiving that feedback, if you ask for it, be prepared for whatever's coming. Don't just be like, I'm gonna send it out there and they're gonna love. No, be prepared. Because they're either gonna love it, hate it, and tell you how to fix it, or and you have to go from there. You have to decide what you're gonna do next from there.
All right. So our guest is now in the waiting room. So we're going to bring in Angel Santiago. Hello there. I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. There we go. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Welcome, awesome. Angel Santiago.
Wonderful. Nice to be here, brother.
Yes. So you got some exciting stuff to talk about today, huh?
Do we? I like to think so.
So just to introduce, I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera, and my partner right there is
George, the Dreamer Medina. What's going on, Angel? How are you, man?
I'm good, George. How you doing?
Not bad, bud. Not bad. I was actually on your website earlier today looking at some of the stuff you have on there. I mean, you got some pretty, really, really good stuff.
Oh,
and I'm
so
definitely excited.
That was you that was stalking us?
That was me, brother. That was me sending you those messages you never responded to. What's going on?
I like that.
Yeah, so let's introduce you. Let's talk about you before we talk about your organization and what you're doing.
Okay.
So who is Angel Santiago and why are you in comics?
Oh, man. For all the wrong reasons, I guess, right? We all want to be famous. You're not going to be famous doing comics. Or rich, actually. All right. So I'm actually just half of Amazing Action Comics. So my partner, Justin Bartz, is actually in Michigan. And I'm in Jersey. So this wonderful world of technology allows us to be really just, united across borders, right, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I've loved comics since I was a child. I drew through high school. I went to school for art. It's just something that's always been in my blood since the very beginning when I could, do something. Obviously, your parents say that's not a path to take if you want a career. So you go different ways. But, later on in life, I guess this is like the second chapter of my life. I go back to the things that I love, and I want to end the second chapter of my life with doing the things that I love. And it's comics. Even in this crazy time, it is comics.
Yeah, I know. So did you grow up in Jersey?
I didn't. I grew up in actually Hell's Kitchen, bro.
Oh,
I'm a New York City boy, yeah.
Wow.
I grew up on 35th and 9th, right next to Midtown South Precinct. I went to the festival, the 9th Avenue Festival, every year of my life because it started on 36th Street all the way up to like 54th.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you have any formal training, Angel, in art?
So yeah, so I actually went to fashion industries for a couple semesters, and then in college, the college that I went to, Mercy College up in Dobbsbury, which is not too far from Yonkers.
Dude, I went there. That's where I went.
Really?
I swear to God. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. On the Dobbsbury campus.
The Dobbsbury campus. Yeah.
Holy crap! So when I was there, they didn't have a computer arts and animation program.
Nope.
So yeah. So that came later on, and actually, probably like in my 3rd year, I got picked up and I became the assistant dean of online learning. That's when online learning actually became a thing, and we were actually one of the first ones to implement it. So my focus got into there, and what was really great about working for the college is you get your courses for free.
Correct.
So to this day, I don't have a degree, but I have a can we curse on this? I was gonna but I have a ton load of credits.
Right.
And so towards the end is when they actually brought the computer arts and animation department, and I took a bunch of courses. I've even taken courses at the Joe Kubert School of Cartooning over in Dover, New Jersey. So I've taken a ton of ancillary courses as well. So I've had a lot of exposure to training, but I haven't received a degree in anything. For me, it's always about experience.
Right. No, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sam, you had one? You had a question?
Yeah. So what was the first comic that you've ever read?
That's a tricky one because I can't remember for the hell of me because I couldn't afford comics growing up. I mean, I was super poor, but my friends that did have comics, I borrow off of them. And obviously when you borrow off of people, you just don't, it's not yours. You don't remember. Right. But I can tell you right now, the $1.95 that I took out of my pocket to buy my first comic was Spawn #1 by Todd McFarlane. Yeah. That was the very first comic book I ever bought.
We were just talking about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
George just bought I Have the Devils in the Details by Todd McFarlane. And George had it himself when we're talking about Todd.
Dude, it's a dope book, bro. It is so good. It is so good.
And it was just like, that was the whole big Image boom and stuff like that. And, I'm a big Rob Liefeld fan. And I know people make fun that he can't draw feet and hands. But if you look back at that time, there was nothing like it. And I think that's what stood out. And you can't look at now and look at the art and critique it because it was a completely different time. And it just stood out. I mean, that X-Force #1, holy dude.
Yeah, right.
I would leave it in the bag and just look at it, and I was like the line work on it was just ridiculous and stuff like that at that moment.
Image was doing just things that we had never seen before. They were just pushing the envelope, though. Even the way they designed the pages inside, like they were breaking all the rules.
Exactly.
They were the bad boys.
It was muscles on top of muscles on top of muscles, and panels exploding like never before. I mean, and everybody was riding like the Jim Lee wave and stuff like that. But they had a lot. I mean, Mark Silvestri, Eric Larson, Jim Valentino, even Walsh Patricia, even though he's not part of like that infamous 7. I mean, all those guys are doing stuff that was just crazy at that time.
Stephen Platt when he was doing Prophet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, in their little studios that they created, they took out a bunch of artists that just they were turning out great work.
They had a great camp.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my favorite was Weapon Zero.
Yep, that's Silvestri, right?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was, I mean, it's but that was like they were like the Beatles. Comic.
Yeah, but you know what happened with that comic, right? So if you got it originally, the first comic was T5. Right. Because it was doing a countdown.
Yes, I have.
And then the next one was T4, T3.
Yes.
So people were getting confused because they were trying to read it from T1 to T5. And you couldn't read it that way.
Yes.
So it just messed everything up. No other comic has ever done that since.
That's funny, dude. That is good. So, Angel, what is your Spawn? Like, do you have your own, like, creator-owned comic that you could say that? Because when I was reading that book, dude, he was writing that comic book back when he was 16 years old, and he was like, I'm gonna put this out someday. So do you have like a character or a creation that stems back to the days when you first started drawing and creating comics?
I do, and obviously things evolve over time. So my character actually became an ensemble. So I'm actually working on that book now. I did a Guardian City source book. So if you looked at my site, you have 3 books on there. You have Project Shadow Breed, you have Red Hyena, which are the creations of my partner, Justin Bartz. And then Guardian City is my creation. And it actually started off as a singular character, but then it grew into an ensemble of characters, which became Guardian City. And it revolves around a cast of characters that revolve around this, fictional city. And, being in the industry for this long and then meeting even more people, it just kind of molded it into different things until what I have, what's in my head now that's coming on a paper. The issue 0 that I had was actually a source book. And I did it because I was like, you know what, let me see if there's any interest in the story. And I did it as a Kickstarter. And basically it was an 8-page short. And then the rest of the book was just the biography of the characters. So I drew up the characters, their bios. Dude, I hit my goal. And people were like, when's the first issue coming out, kind of. So I was like, yeah, I got my spawn in the bag. Now it's just a matter of getting it drawn and getting it out into the world. So yes, I definitely have. And this is going to be my opus to my life.
Now, you consider yourself an artist or a writer or both?
Actually, more of an artist than a writer. So this the sitting down to write, like for me, when I start to write dialogue, I actually have to draw. So I'll do little thumbnails as I'm writing at the same time, so that I'm figuring out what angle I'm going to be working with, who's on the page, what the panel looks like, and then the dialogue kind of flows from there to see if I have to make additional panels and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's awesome, bro. So I guess we all have like our own I guess way of doing creating and doing our work and things of that nature. So now, when did you meet Justin? When did you guys meet up to start Amazing Action Comics?
So we're in 2020, right? So I think sometime in 1975. No, I'm joking. But it's funny because we got into the publishing business. We've known each other for about 2 years. Okay. And it's funny because we're talking about Tom McFarlane, and he posted something today on Facebook, which was one of his rejection letters of over 200.
So Archie?
Yeah, the Archie one.
Yeah. And
it's funny because I've submitted a bunch of stuff as well. And, it really, in this industry, because there's not too many outlets where you can actually, not even distribute, publish your work. It comes down to a very few outlets. And we've both, on both our ends, we've gotten rejected. But then you get picked up by secondary, smaller publishers that aren't in the Diamond previews, that aren't even out there, don't even really have a real distribution. But you want to get your work out there, and they promise you the moon and the stars. And this is kind of where we met. We were in those crossroads where he was working with another publisher, and they burned him, unfortunately. And that happens more often than not. And I think we were just at a point where we were both just sick and tired of either getting rejected or getting burned. And the rejections, you either stop doing what you love, just because it hurts, or you just grow a tougher skin and you just keep pushing forward. For me, it's always been that art is truly subjective. So there's something for somebody. So even if we just have one fan and that fan loves our book, whether it's for the art or the story or a combination of the both, then we've done our job. Right. It's just being able to, how can we get the exposure? That's the biggest thing. That was the biggest hurdle. So we said, you know what, let's grind down. I've been doing this long enough where I kind of understand the inners and ropes, especially with the convention scene, working the market. For us, it was how do we get our book into stores, into distribution, into the hands of our fans and stuff like that. And that's what we've been working on.
Good. That's good. It's funny because Sam, yeah, go ahead. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead, Sam.
I think you were listening to our pre-show talk because we talked about the same thing. It's a matter of taste. Not everyone's going to like what you do, but somebody will. And we had that conversation a minute ago.
For sure.
Yeah, no, that's funny, bro.
Dude, you can say there's so much crap out there, but it's not crap to somebody else.
Right.
It's just not my cup of tea. So when I'm at a store. I'm at a store about 4 days a week. I work out of a comic store. So that's my into the industry from the retailer side.
Nice.
So you listen to conversations that people have, and when they say something sucks, I never bite into that because it sucks for them, but I know somebody else that's reading that book.
Right.
So if somebody picks up my book and they put it down and that sucks, I don't take offense to it. It just means that it's not for them.
Right.
That's right.
I don't go to the corner and cry. If this was like maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I'd probably go to the corner and cry a little bit, then come back licking my wounds. But I know that the stuff that either Justin writes or the stuff that I draw is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But the one person, and I know the couple of people that when we release a book every month, I know the people that come to our site and actually buy that book every month religiously. So
Nice.
because they're doing that, as long as they're doing that, we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
That's right. That's right. That's incredible, dude. How do you guys? So okay, so you guys have two titles right now that are out, right? You have The Shadow Breed and you had Red Hyena. How many issues of each title do you have currently?
So we have the first arc of Project Shadow Breed completely done. So the first 5 issues are done. Red Hyena just finished its 3-issue miniseries run as well. So the trade, we're doing a special trade collection of those 2 books together because they cross over in issue 4 of Project Shadow Breed. They're gonna. I'm actually working on it right now. I was working on it before I came on with you guys. I think it's 224 pages of a trade that we got collected together, and that should be coming out in July.
Nice.
Then August or late August, early September is when the next arc of Project Shadow Breed begins. I'm actually doing the artwork and the covers for those. I did all the homage covers for Project Shadow Breed 1 through 5, and all the homage covers for Red Hyena 1 through 3.
And you guys do those monthly. Well, you put out books monthly, right?
We're trying.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how do you distribute? Do you do it guerrilla style, where you kind of go into different stores throughout the state and say, hey, get my book, or do you go through Diamond? Like, how do you distribute?
If I had to do guerrilla style, bro, I think I would shoot myself. Like, seriously, I know some guys do it, and they do it mostly through consignment, and consignment's really tough because if in my area, because I'm in a densely populated area, right? So I'm close to the city. I can go to maybe 20 comic book stores within driving distance. We'll just do a 5-mile radius, maybe 10-mile radius. Yeah. And if I'm going to go to every single bookstore for consignment, it's probably going to take me a month to make that route. And so by the time I do that route, I'd have to start doing the route again for next month, just to find out whether or not any books sold, and then collect whatever I need to collect or whatever it is. So I respect the guys that do it, but it's super hard to do consignment and to do a route. So what we did is we did something even super harder. So we went to Store Locator, and we plugged in a whole bunch of zip codes, and it gives you all the different comic stores that come up. So I got about 800 comic book emails and Facebook pages, and we just guerrilla marketed through there.
Wow.
So we sent a massive email, which I wouldn't recommend because that's spamming. But what was cool is that because this industry is always looking for talent, looking for something new, and because we had supposedly the monopoly, which is not a monopoly anymore, of distribution, we couldn't get in. They weren't taking new people. It's crazy because I think the more popular something gets, the further it gets away from its roots. Right. So if you're only going to take in known creators or people that have published works, and you're not going to take anybody that's up and coming, then it makes it difficult for that group of people to be a face in the industry. So we had a tough time with trying to get into Diamond because they stopped responding, and then all of a sudden they just stopped taking on new publishers, which I get. It's a business, and I completely get it. So there's no bad blood there. But then we were stuck with, all right, so then how do stores know about us? So then we had to go and reach out to them individually. So we sent out an email to her. We got a decent response back, and then now we're in about 15, 20 stores that order it regularly. And you know what? Some people may say, oh, that's not a lot, whatever. But for us, because we're doing everything, we're doing the publishing, we're doing the creation, and then we're doing the distribution on top of that. People don't understand that it's not just about putting a pencil down to paper, then giving it to the inker, giving it to the colors, but who knows about your book? Who's printing your book? How much does it cost to print the book, black and white versus color? Is it 20 pages, 28 pages? That's a big difference. So when it comes to the business end of it, all these small publishers that pop up and leave within 3 to 6 months do not realize the business portion of this industry. And that's why they fail. So when I look at 15 comic book stores, I go, oh, how am I going to get books to 15 stores? Because I'm sitting in my office, which is also my home, and I got a pile of books over there and boxes over there, and it's coming up on time where these guys got to get their books. It's got to be done. So right now we're actually in a happy place. We're operating in the black, not the red. So that means we're not losing money.
Good for you, brother.
And we're trying to prepare ourselves for the next step, which would be even more distribution. So there's in the works right now. There's another company. I'd rather not say who it is. That's looking to do more distribution for independent publishers. So that's coming up really soon. And if we get a part of that, then that's going to be huge for us.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I had that question for you. I was going to ask you, tell us about some of the challenges you had or you have as a publisher, but you just basically spelled all those things out, because it is about that. It's a money game, right? When Sam and I used to self-publish, and he had, you know, Crazy Comics was the company back then. And getting into Diamond was just ridiculous. You couldn't get in. You know, they would ask you for like, remember Sam? They would ask you for like an ad for like $10,000.
Yeah, I had to get distributed through Partners Publishing Group.
Yeah.
Because Diamond was just out of control, and then there was some requirements on buying advertisement and all this other stuff, and I was like, that's not what.
Yeah, and then the cut is even more. So I mean, this pie that you're working with you know, with printing, and then having to pay a distributor and a discount that the comic store gets. I mean, down the line, it just becomes pennies. And unless you're selling like 100,000 books, you're not making anything. Right. And then if you're one creator, it's one thing. If you're doing, you know, the drawing, the writing, the inking, then that's one payment. But if you're working with a team of 2 or 3 people, then, you know, and you got a family and stuff like that, trust me, these guys have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And this is, most of these guys that I work with are doing this because they have a great passion for this industry. And there's history behind what it is that we're doing that goes all the way back, you know, to the 30s and 40s. Yeah. And we're trying to honor the history. And unfortunately, it's like salmon swimming upstream. It's a tough challenge. And some of those salmon make it, and some of them that they don't make it. And even if they make it to the top, there's a grizzly bear waiting to eat you up. You got to get past the grizzly bear. So there's all these obstacles that we have to do. So when Justin and I got together, we really talked about, you know, not going above our heads when it came to certain things. So this is why my project sat to the side for a little bit, because he was ahead a little bit longer than I was, and it was finished. I mean, he's got 20 issues already written. Yeah. I mean, this is a universe that we're trying to create, and we've gotten some really good feedback. And you know, one of the artists that we're working with is over in the UK, Julian Derber, who drew all of Red Hyena. He's super fast and he's talented, and he's going to be drawing the 3rd arc of Project Shadowbreed. He's actually lettering the 2nd arc. So there's all these moving parts, and we just actually started opening up submissions for our company. So we have a couple of people that we're already looking at to bring on board, whether we're going to, you know, distribute digitally or whether we're going to bring them to print as well.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the submission process for you guys, because I was reading through it, but you know, and so I know a little bit about it, but tell the people who are listening to the show, what are some of your guidelines for submission?
All right, so actually, I'll give you more advice, because this is actually the submission guideline across multiple platforms is quite similar. You know, you'll have some people that won't require you to have finished work. It'll just be the submission pages that you do, 5 or 6 that they want to see of the work, the synopsis of your work, the creative team that's on it, what kind of genre it falls in, what the price point's going to be, all that stuff. When we look at people, when we look at working with people, we want completed work. In this industry, it is about deadlines. And I can't have, if you're giving me, you know, this is a 1-shot and you have the 1-shot complete, fantastic. If this is a 5-issue miniseries, how many pages do you have complete? How many books do you have complete? Oh, we have the first, you know, 5 pages of the first book complete. Good, great. Come back to me when you have all 5 done. Right. Because if it's all done, then I can market and sell that a lot easier. Right. So I can sell 5 books that are completed in 5 months, and then bam, you got to trade at month 6, and then you're closed out. But if you got 5 pages and all of a sudden you lose your creative team, then I've got nothing to market. Right. So we're a little bit more stringent on that process, because once we have completed work, it's our job is so much easier. Right. And we've worked with people who have actually ghosted us, blackballed us, and just, it's tough. It's tough, especially for people that really want to do stuff. You give them a chance and all of a sudden life gets in their way. I get it. But then all of a sudden you're up with your hands and stores are like, where's the book? And then a store drops you. And it's not like we have 100 stores. We got 15 stores. Right. And, you know, the more that we please them and we're consistent with them, then hopefully that word will spread. So we're trying to do it independently, correct. I mean, you look at Image, but Image is a different story, because even though they're creator owned, you had the top artists that left, the 2 top companies. They had a fan base. They had a fan base already. Yeah, absolutely. So they had this terrific start. But you know what? To hold on to that for 25 plus years, that still works. So you have to give them the credit for that. But anybody starting now who doesn't have that fan base, the clawing and the legwork that you have to do is 100-fold of what they had to do.
especially now where your attention span is so much less than it was before, and loyalty is so flimsy
Hmm.
that if you're not consistent, the moment you show any sign of inconsistency, you lose that person that you might have had as a loyal fan.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the moment you miss a deadline, the moment you miss that target, the moment something's not on, the third issue is not in the store, they're gone.
Yep.
They moved on. They're not going to wait, and
Yep.
I think that's the risk, which is why I think it's a smart move to have the finished product and request a finished product, because you don't want to be known as a fly, in the night.
Yeah.
Just there and you're gone.
Yeah. And you said it. I mean, to have longevity in this business, you only need one thing, and that's consistency.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can be consistent with your product, your delivery of your product, you're going to have a fan base for a while.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, that's what's missing. And on top of that, you said it, a short attention span, because there's so much more product now. So now, if you go into the store and your book's not on the shelf, there's still hundreds of books on the shelves.
Absolutely.
You're competing with that, and then you're competing with whatever's online that's out there as well. So
no, absolutely. Angel, I like the hat, buddy. You guys have apparel? Do you guys have stuff to sell online, or?
Yeah. So we actually started putting stuff back on. So the deal with the whole COVID thing, pandemic happened and stuff like that. Unfortunately, so a lot of the places that do our gear, they've pushed back orders and stuff like that. So on our site right now, dude, you have to see this. Where do I have it? Let's see if I can put it on the screen. I just got it in. Yeah, nice. You're gonna see it backwards, but it's my iPhone 11 case, man.
Dude, that's awesome, brother. That's awesome. And that's on the website right now?
That's on the website right now. So you can actually do it for an iPhone 11, whatever which one you have, and a Samsung.
Oh man, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Awesome.
I was kind of worried when they sent it in. I was like, I don't know if it's gonna work, but I was like, oh man, I sleep with this thing now.
Hey, so you mentioned the pandemic, and obviously it's something that's very real. ZapCon, I'm sorry. That's your next appearance. Is that still happening? Have you heard anything from them?
As of right now, it's still on. As of right now, I mean, nobody. I mean, as of right now, New York Comic Con is on. Yeah. But I think we all know what's going to happen. I mean, it's just, I think this year's written off for anything that's going to be large events. So there's going to be like a reset, which means next year, if everything does open up, it's probably going to be twice as crowded. Right. Because we've gone almost a month and a half, 2 months, stir crazy. The stores have just opened up. So yesterday was the first time we actually had customers in the store. And it was, there was traffic. So it was good. I mean, we kept it moving, but it was so good to have that foot traffic to come in. Today was the first Wednesday of New Comic Book Day where the stores were open. We had traffic coming in. We saw people we haven't seen in a long time. So I think people are craving that normalcy again. I mean, wearing a mask. I had sweat beads on my mustache. I'm just running around. I got this mask on my face sounding like Darth Vader. And sweat just pouring down my face, having to run to the back.
Like your temperature is decreasing with that dang mask on.
Yeah.
Your body temperature is going up. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, this is the one thing that I regret, because I thought it wasn't going to last as long as it did. But, the lead character, Marek in Project Shadow Breed, wears a handkerchief, a bandana on his head. Dude. And it was my opportunity to just jump on that and just put his freaking face on up. I'll wait for the next pandemic.
So as we're getting ready to wrap up, what message do you want to send to the listeners, the viewers out there? What do you want them to know and take away?
Cool. So a couple of things. So one, to the fans, thank you guys for, staying with us, sticking with us, and, just supporting us, especially through this time. To the retailer shops that support us, we love you guys, and we'll keep doing whatever you want us to do to get product to you. For anybody who's up and coming and been rejected 2,000 times, come to us. If we reject you, we'll let you know why we reject you, but then just keep moving forward, keep doing your thing. We're still looking for people to, keep spreading the love, the independent love for that. And just like other independent-owned, creator-owned publishers, we don't own anything. It is yours. Our job is just to, help build our library with your material, and then you can do with whatever you want with it. But yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
And where are they sending their submissions to?
So you guys can go to amazingactioncomics.com, and you'll find all our information there. You'll find everything from Instagram, Facebook. We have a YouTube channel that we just started because we're actually going to be talking about the actual business of creating comics, not just from the creator end, but also the business end of it as well. So that anybody who's looking to get into this business has some kind of support structure in regards to the business aspect of it and the reality of, dude, if you want to make money, you really got to spend money. So get ready.
Yeah.
We'll have all your
Amen.
available on when we upload the show.
Awesome.
So this way, anyone who's watching the show will be able to link up, and
awesome.
It'll show up on the screen as well.
And buy our comics because they're really cool.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you, Angel, for being on Catch the Craze. We're looking forward to seeing what happens with Shadow Breed and your endeavors, and we'd like to do a follow-up some around the holiday season to see how it's going and where you are at the time.
Yeah, that'd be great. You know what I'll do even better? As soon as the trade comes out, I want to send you guys a copy. Take a read and let me know what you think.
Thanks, Angel. You're the man. Thank you very much, buddy.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Be good.
Take care. That was awesome, Sam.
That was awesome.
Yeah, man. Really good guy. He knows exactly what he's doing, man, as far as the business. I like that he actually works at a store, so he understands the ins and outs of that.
Yes. Really good information. I give him a lot of credit. It's not easy in the independent world. It might be a little easier now that you have 2 additional distributors in the industry. Right. One of them being Midtown Comics, which is probably going to take over the world, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. The stuff looks good. Go visit, the website and check it out. And if you have stuff to submit, send it to them as well. AmazingActionComics.com.
Absolutely, man. And next week, tune in because we're gonna have another comic book company, Black Moss Comics, is coming next week. So check that show out. And I guess we'll sign off here, and then we'll catch you on the flip side, right?
Yes. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
George Dreamer Medina.
Peace.
It's just easy. It's not. Crazy. I'm so crazy. You so crazy. Acquiesce. No, it's about my friend Acquiesce. I met him. Say my name. Say my name. Right? This is what you were thinking? Yes. Oh, he described me. He said, "I'm the."
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. To Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.